Alex here with another air compressor review. This time we are looking at the California Air Tools 120C ultra quiet air compressor. Now, if you know anything about this company, they specialize on making ultra quiet compressors. Now, what do I mean by ultra quiet? A typical air compressor can run as high as 100 to 110 decibels, which is quite loud. This thing is advertised as being able to run at 70 decibels. So on this video, I'm gonna walk you through its features as well as test it out to see if this is the right air compressor for you. And as always, I'd like to remind you that I place a link in the description down below to this unit in case you'd like to get one for yourself. But first, let's talk about some specifications. This is a medium-sized air compressor, so it is still portable, we can still move it around, and is rated at 2 horsepower. It is also able to deliver 6.4 CFM at 40 psi or 5.3 CFM at 90 psi. And as far as the body and frame, there's a lot of metal used on this air compressor, very little plastic to be found, so that means this is gonna be a heavy-duty unit. Even this front panel, all metal. It also features dual pressure gauges. One of these gauges is the regulated pressure, which is the pressure that we're gonna be able to set by turning this knob, and also the knob features a locking collar in the back. Next to that knob, we have the tank pressure gauge, and next to that gauge, we have a safety release valve. And moving towards the center of the panel, we get two quick disconnect connectors in case you wanted to run two tools off this unit at the same time. But here's another detail that tells you that this was designed for heavy or medium duty use, and that is the on and off mechanism. They are using a condor switch, which are known for being more reliable than simple switches. You can have this unit in the auto mode, and this unit is gonna automatically cycle or turn it off by turning this little dial. And if somehow you manage to overheat this unit, it does have a built-in thermal protection, which is self-resettable. So once the unit cools down, it will reset. But what's also interesting, and I have not seen this before, is this easy start valve that releases air when you start the unit, and that reduces the load on the compressor, which in turn allows this unit to start easier in colder temperatures, and it also requires less amp to get this started, which is gonna be great for whoever's trying to run this off a generator. Moving to the back of the unit, we get dual air filters, 2 filters, and the filters are serviceable. The body of them is all metal, the top opens, and the air filter can pop right out for servicing, and I can just put this back and close the cover once again. And before I start this air compressor, I do want to point out this label that shows no oil, and that is because this is an oil-free air compressor. There's no need to add oil. It comes ready to use from the factory, and that means that we can use this in places where the surface may not be level, and also we don't have to worry about ever adding or replacing the oil in it. And as far as capacity, this features a 10-gallon steel tank, and for its dimensions, this measures roughly about 36 inches high and 16 inches long and 15 inches in width. And for its weight, this comes in at 82.5 pounds. But what's also interesting is how they managed to achieve that lower decibel rating, basically being more quiet, and they did that by lowering the speed of the motor and also having dual pistons that are larger than normal pistons. So instead of having one little piston go really fast, you have 2 pistons moving slower, therefore generating less noise. But also, as a positive side of that, is that they generate less heat. And this is important because on an air compressor, excessive cycling, meaning relying on the motor to stay on to keep up with the air demand, can potentially kill the air compressor. On an air compressor like this that runs at a lower RPM and generates less heat, we get increased duty cycle, which means we can cycle this more often. We can keep this motor running more often, and that is especially helpful because we only have a 10-gallon tank to work with, so that gives us a compact air compressor with a smaller tank that can still keep up with the type of tools that normally will require a larger air tank. But now let's do some testing. This is advertised as having a 120-second fill time. Let's see how long it actually takes. And now let's test recovery time, which is advertised as being 25 seconds. And for loudness, again, this is rated at 70 decibels and I am a foot away from it. Let's see how loud it is. And located towards the bottom of the tank, we have the drain valve, which is able to open or close with only a quarter of a turn. Now the air valve is quite low on there and you kind of have to find it with your fingers, but once you find the little lever and you get used to it, it is actually quite easy to operate. And as far as rolling this unit, the two wheels provide adequate support. And for transporting the unit on its side, there are two integrated rubber grommets or rubber stoppers that allow us to lay this horizontally. And finally, this air compressor is covered by a 1-year warranty. Now, there is one thing I would like to see this air compressor improve on, and that is gonna be on the drain valve, because I feel that when it's on its open position, the valve is very close to the ground and it's not actually touching the ground. But I could see if somebody were to drop the air compressor as it comes down, could that valve potentially hit the floor and now we have damaged the valve? Now that problem doesn't seem to happen if the valve is on the closed position. But normally when I move an air compressor, I typically empty out the tank, which can potentially lead to me damaging that valve if I don't remember that I have it on the open position and I were to slam the air compressor. Now this is probably gonna be an easy fix by just adding a couple washers in the rear feeder of the air compressor, bringing it up a little bit higher, but it would be nice if they can make an improvement on that from the factory. However, I will tell you that once you try one of these quiet air compressors, you'll never want to go back to your old compressor again. It actually sounds crazy loud when I hear one now because I gotten used to this low decibel air compressor. Now, if you do want something that is even quieter, California Air Tools does have another model, which I previously reviewed on the channel. It's smaller, but it is even more quieter than this thing right here. And I mean whisper quiet. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link to that in the description down below, along with a link to this unit in case you want to get one for yourself. And if you guys have any other questions regarding this, please put that in the comments down below. If you found any part of this video helpful, hit the like button to support the channel and stay tuned as I have a lot more reviews coming up for you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.